Hello, and welcome back to the Let's Dig Into That podcast. Just got to say a quick thank you to everyone who has subscribed and followed us. That is really what perpetuates us forward. It only takes a quick second, and it means the absolute world to us. So please do subscribe and follow.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is the podcast where we've made it our mission to remain honest and curious as we explore the horrors, gets me every time, of being intentionally human. We volunteer our vulnerability because we believe sharing our shit is how you shake the shame. And who do I do that with? I do it with the Midwest matriarch, the board-breaking badass. It's Jordan, everybody. How are you, baby?
Hiya.
Hiya.
That's exactly how it sounded when I was just snapping pine.
Snapping pine.
I've never said that before in my karate days.
We're making stickers. Snapping pine.
Yeah. The Love Ninja snaps pine once again. And I am lucky to be chatting with my panda of play, the keynote of my dream boat, JT.
Oh, you win. That was good.
Thank you.
That was real good.
1 out of 15, not bad.
That was real good. You win.
Happy to be here.
Here it comes.
Okay.
Here's the question. Just get this kicked off.
Thank you.
Do you think you will ever have another adult beverage?
Another adult beverage.
I did not know you were going to do that. Now you got to tell them what you're drinking.
Would I knowingly have it? No. I would
Knowingly?
not knowingly. This is not, what you just heard is not an adult beverage. This is a non-alcoholic Budweiser Zero.
Almost the real thing.
I am a non-drinking adult, but I do enjoy an NA.
What the hell does it
cerveza.
mean not intentionally? What are you talking about?
Unknowingly. Well, I feel like a welcome drink's gonna sneak by me one day, like show up in Aruba and they're just like... And
Are you going to do like a spit take on that? What does that look like for you?
The ocean, like, I thought it was Virgen Colada. Yeah, and so...
Sans alcohol.
Yeah, so I mean, worry about the welcome moment.
Okay.
But you remember that time I told you about drinking my ex's contacts in Mexico? So if I'm just down the hatch, there's a chance. But
how did
knowingly.
that happen?
Well, I think our luggage in a vacation type way exploded, and it was like, where the heck is that contact case? And in his defense, he did tell me, hey, put my contacts probably in saline, as opposed to just Mexican water right in your eye, but saline in like a glass, the hotel's glass, like a rock size.
Down the hatch.
In the middle of the night, I drank those suckers and didn't think about the next morning. I was like, oh, shoot. Yeah, luckily there was no prescription goggles. I'm not sure. I'm sure there was a tense breakfast.
Wow.
Yeah. Chilaquiles.
Okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get what you mean.
So I have a tendency to, what about you? Do you think in your lifetime you will have another grown-up drink?
Short of the apocalypse or a terminal illness, no. I don't see myself ever going back there. And that's sort of a joke. I wouldn't know if the world was actually ending. And then, I don't see myself ever going down there. It's just not a path that I've done so much work. Why am I going to undo it? And I understand relapse happens, but my goal is to remain alcohol-free for the rest of my days.
That's nice. I'm trying to have the apocalypse debate, and I don't think it would even, it might slow me down. If the apocalypse was coming, I'd be like, I got shit to do.
Absolutely.
And so I don't think I could be tempted, but I would love to track you if you did. That would be an interesting moment. But the holidays are coming.
Yes.
And
tricky time to be sober.
And I think the conversation extends beyond... it is kind of parties, events, work function, all of those things. Yeah. And so it is tricky. I would argue, if maybe you'd agree, that it's getting a little cooler, trendy, perhaps?
It is a little trendy. I mean, we're hearing about the Gen Zs.
Right. Intermittent sobriety is what they have
I kind of think that's pretty cool.
Named is the newest, biggest trend of the Gen Z drinking habits. And so, Sober Curious, amazing book.
Ruby Warrington, absolutely.
That phrase was Ruby Warrington, amazing shadow, but her book came out in 2018, and I do think it's kind of started a bit of a revolution, and I love that it's become, part of the conversation.
I love it. I don't mean to disrail you, but her second book, or not her second book, but her next
That's
book,
how we found her.
published with a great publisher out of my hometown called Sounds True. Just want to give them a quick shout
That
out.
is excellent. Yes, Sounds True Publishing, amazing. But the book JT is talking about is Women Without Kids. And so the revolutionary sisterhood, I believe.
Exactly. I didn't
I'll
mean to
fact check on the exact title on that one, but I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't mean to get you off topic, but sober curious. I mean, that's a term that people have adopted.
Bandy about.
It's really cool that I love that there's some, trendiness behind sobriety. It's a little bit weird for people who have gone the path that I went, where I made the brave decision, I'm still going to call it that, to go to rehab and get clean, and then do the whole 90 meetings in 90 days, find a sponsor. I went the complete traditional route. So
Can we just preface this with went to rehab while still actively owning a liquor store?
Yeah, that was tricky. That was a hard one, because one of the things that happens
shift.
in rehab is you meet with all these counselors, and they basically own you. Like it's more prison-y than people would maybe realize, because you literally have to graduate. It's not something that you can kind of just. There are people that go for a recharge, unfortunately, and they don't get to really do a lot of great work. But if you want to do the work to get sober in a rehab clinic, they want to make sure that your lifestyle when you leave suits your new goals and what's ahead of you.
Right.
And
You walk out those doors and the world is the same.
telling a counselor, "Oh yeah, my job, I own a liquor store. I thought I was gonna be there forever." And so yeah, that was a tricky part of that whole dynamic. And luckily, I was able to make a lot of life changes, and that's what it takes.
So you were I think I was very sober curious. You were like sober instantaneous.
Yes, absolutely. I was done. I was ready to be out of, the second step. My life has become unmanageable. My life was completely unmanageable, and I needed to make the change.
And you are almost 3 years
3 years this March, yeah.
Are you dreading any of the impending holiday, or has that?
Well, I'll be very transparent and candid here.
We're counting on it.
It sucks to be the elephant in the room, and there's really not much you can do about it. There are some strategies that I'd love to pass along that can kind of minimize that, but here's the truth of the matter. When you show up at a gathering and everyone knows you're sober, their attitudes change. And
we can get lost in certain crowds, but I am with you that it is this undeniable, like, uh-oh, mom's here. It's like, no, not even, it's a nun. You are like a straight up, yes, authoritative figure, fun squashing.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun police.
I think the reason, pardon me.
I know. It's
I think the
yeah,
reason
the burps are really
I think
nice.
the reason it's such a bummer is because the reality of the situation is I'm so comfortable in my sobriety that I'd love to judge your beer pong game. I'd love to watch you play flip. I want to be the referee. Like I'm a built-in DD to everyone. And I wish that was the approach. And I realize that that's not how every alcoholic functions, and not everyone can put themselves in those positions. So really what I'd preach and ask, if you have a friend, so many of us are affected by alcoholism, whether it's in our own lives or people we know, ask them what they'd like you to do. Ask them about their circumstances.
Like having the uncomfortable conversation.
It doesn't have to be uncomfortable.
Well, true. A momentary discomfort in a friendship can save a lot of big deal hurt down the line. And so I think, for example, if it was like, we're going to watch, I've never watched, I feel bad confessing, but an episode of The Bachelor. I'm sure it's great.
Good for you.
But it's yeah, you have, I know.
I've seen lots.
And I have not seen, but it seems like a great show to get together and just overserve yourself and have a great time. And yeah, just cut loose and talk some smack and objectify bods. And it sounds like a great time. And so if the elephant, non-drinking Jordan, is to be invited, I would so prefer my friend to call and be like, here's the deal. Because it's true, the stigma exists on both sides where I don't want to ruin everyone's night. And even though I'm fortunate to be around, like JT and I still break down every wine list at every restaurant we ever go to, because we met in this industry and we respect alcohol for what it has done and can do to destroy our individual lives. And so if a friend called me and said, I love you, it would be a buzzkill and I hate it, I can be grown up enough, I hope, to say
believe
like,
you could,
thank
for
you
sure.
so much. And like, I can have an out, and it would make me want to plan something fun with that same group. And it would give me an opportunity to make other plans, because having an excuse is a great holiday party, whatever trick. Like, I'm on medication that doesn't agree. I'm driving home tonight. I'm hungover.
A big
I'm on
part of-
so much peyote right now that I can't drink.
And I completely agree with that, with the caveat of, again, my background in sobriety is a little different. And in the program of AA, honesty is so important. And so
Exactly.
how
do you get away with excuses?
I wouldn't really throw out just a random excuse if you're working on an issue. It's so empowering to own that and tell people, no, man, me and alcohol don't get along. And so catchphrase that I inherited that I really love is, oh, I'm sorry, I'm allergic. I tend to break out in handcuffs. And I stole that completely. That's a well-known phrase.
That's a good catchphrase.
It gets people to chuckle.
And you didn't spend a lot of time in prison, I don't think. Any? No.
One night in California.
That's
Thanks
right.
for their dumb rules on not being able to sleep in your van.
Yeah, it's tricky.
But I get it. But I love one of the points that you made is I hate not being included, and it definitely happens, and I understand it, but there's a lot of
no one likes being excluded.
But there's a lot of times that I know I'm not invited to certain events because of the fact I don't drink, and even my friends who in the past 3 years who have gotten comfortable and know my circumstances, and a lot of my friends have gone this route too, whether they had a problem or not. But if their game plan is we're gonna go get housed and have a sloppy night,
get shitty.
I know I'm not going to get included in that. And I understand why, but at the same time, it would mean so much to me if people were just like, hey, this is what we're doing. I'm not really sure you're going to enjoy it, or you're going to, and I'm worried I'm putting you at risk of what you're going for. There's a lot of respect in that. But at the same time, I'd still love the invite.
So you are not as much a fan of, please don't come and be everybody's buzzkill. I just wanted you to hear it from me that I'm hosting this and not after the fact.
I would appreciate that, but I'm also craving the opportunity to show the people I care about. And I've had the opportunity for some of the people, but there's a lot of people I'd love to hang out with and show them like, I'm not the buzzkill just because I'm not drinking. It's just like the person you've assigned to be the DD. They come along with you and still have a great night, right? I want to be that person.
I'm fun.
Right.
I'm a good time.
Yeah.
Completely fair.
So I'm thinking about your events, your holiday celebrations with your gigantic family. How do you?
I come from a long line of good drinkers.
Yes,
both
you do.
sides.
And how do you navigate those situations where, we're talking like 300 people at your Christmas?
Oh,
and
not that big, but you're right. We're over 100.
feels like it.
We're 3 digits. And so there's a lot of bodies. Again, that opportunity to kind of get lost in a crowd sort of goes away when they all know you and everybody wants to celebrate. And since we interviewed my beautiful mom, Templeton being her maiden name, they make a rye whiskey just for us.
Yeah,
Like
out in Iowa, it's just for you.
Yeah, and
that's right.
so it was that first year getting into that situation, I did do my best to kind of get prepared, and I'm so excited to see everyone that keeping something in my hand was something I thought about a lot. Like, I put my phone and like chapstick or like lip wear, little lipstick in different spots where I could be like, ooh, I've got to go grab this really quick. And so I also told just a handful of the right people, because once I admitted it to myself and I was like, I'm done, no looking back, it was almost instantly like so much easier. Granted, I took my time getting back out into the world and protecting myself a little bit, but I walked into that room having folks that had my back.
Okay. That's awesome too. I loved what you said about having something in your hand. I mentioned the honesty aspect, and so that's a great point too, where we are the type of alcoholics who enjoy non-alcoholic beer. That's not everyone's cup of tea, but at the same time, it's really nice when you can kind of blend in. Throw that non-alc or soda in a koozie.
In a koozie,
and you
yeah.
can stand in that circle while everyone's sipping their drink, and there's no uncomfortableness. It kind of eliminates
a
that situation.
non-issue.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, because I don't feel at all anymore like that embarrassed or ashamed the way that I feared so much making the decision that I was like, this is like, I am the girl that has a case of wine. Like, I can pair your dinner from my trunk.
Right.
Because I was in the business and I always had, like, you pop over to my house, we've got bubbles that are already chilled. Like, it was a massive lifestyle switch.
Oh, absolutely.
And so now I feel, what's my line? I would say, like, oh, why don't you drink anymore? I drank an ocean. I literally drank everything. I
Tried it
feel
all.
so satisfied. I am so lucky that I haven't had a moment of like, man, really wish, like, how great we were both married already and got to like toast with champagne at those parties.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
so didn't need to second time around. Didn't miss it
Absolutely.
one bit. We did toast with Topo Chico.
Yes, we did for our
Sparkling
wedding. That was
water.
awesome.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that quite a bit.
But I'm with you, keeping since it is so trendy and becoming more popular, being comfortable and willing to talk to your people about it. And
really
just
hard.
saying like, yeah, so how's that going for you? Because like reactions are going to be shitty and bitches can be mean and you are going to get left out and you will find out who your people are. And that can be really scary, but long game payoff.
We've been very lucky that most of the people have really supported us in our sobriety journey. And I think that's been amazing, where there's been a few people and we get left out, but I feel the support.
Just imagine if you try to quit smoking like cigarettes though. And like everybody is like, I guess that kind of happens if you have like a good smoking buddy and you are like, we take our breaks together and that's where, ooh, yeah. So perhaps bad example, but let's say you're giving up, I don't know, meth. All right. And so you're like, I am working hard and I am now sober. I am off the meth and everybody just giving you shit for it. Like alcohol has been so normalized culturally. It is how you fit in. It is how you date. It is how you go to concerts and events. You better be loosened up before you smooch the cute one. Like, it's intense to get out of that game.
How about pre-gaming? And like that was if I was going to do something that I knew made me even a little bit uncomfortable.
It had a name. I was like, permission to drink before I go drink, whatever that is, sure.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. That was sort of my game. And full confession, I was totally that guy. When I was a drinker and people were like, yeah, I'm just not feeling it tonight. I was like, bull, here's 3 shots. That was 100%
talking
me.
your people into it.
That was 100%
Pusher
me.
man.
Yeah.
Well, of course. Again, one of my roommates in college, she was like, Jordan's my only vice. And I was like, well, she's not totally incorrect, but I could.
Someone said that out loud?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Out loud to someone else, not to me.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but I did hear it firsthand.
And when you heard...
And it's true because they could be like, I'm going to study. I'm going to bed early. I'm not eating sweets tonight. And I'm like, let's get ready because the apocalypse is coming and we're going to do all that shit tonight. And so I'm with you that I was a big time pusher. We haven't referenced our beer purse.
Oh my gosh, yes. We have several beer purses.
My Missouri is showing in this chat.
But most of them have come in our sobriety.
So a beer purse is, regardless, NAs, people can have a lot of judgments. I'm sorry I jumped in, but I feel like I have to represent because that is yet another cousin. This is a Blue Spring shout out on this one, but having whatever beverage it is, your club sodas, your Coca-Cola, your juice boxes, Capri Sun, rolling deep, but having that with you.
Your stash of what you will be drinking while other people will be consuming alcohol.
Yeah.
Yes.
Your odds of success, if this you think might be remotely a struggle of having your own beverages and own wheels.
Yes, wheels are huge too. And you'll hear that from every alcoholic. If you're going to a place that is serving alcohol or there will be alcohol, drive yourself there.
And not with everybody else you're trying to round up
because
at the end. Like, be able to leave when you want to.
Because there might come a moment where it gets too intense. And then you can be like, hey, I'm out. I'm going to go get my wheels. Thank you for having me. I had a great time. Bounce. And that is crucial to sobriety, in my opinion. Drive yourself. If there's alcohol, even possible, drive yourself.
Agreed. So, first date, you're like the struggle be real that we fortunately didn't have to have that conversation, but I'm thinking it is tricky. I can put myself in my own skin of being like, hey, I actually don't drink anymore and So coming up, what are your thoughts on first
Listen-
date disclosure?
Listen here, ladies.
I'm
If
intrigued.
you are on a first date and that gentleman says, hey, I don't drink, it's just something about me, I've worked really hard on it, you might be hitting the freaking jackpot.
Lock it down.
I'm just saying, like, think about some of these. If this person's comfortable in the sobriety and they've really been doing the work on themselves, that's the first benefit. They've been working on themselves. That means it comes with like built-in honesty. Think about your checkbook. Think about how much you spend on alcohol.
That is true.
That's just one element. But then think about this too. You have someone that is learned what their struggles are and overcome them. What's better than that in a partner? And so I'm not saying that that's true for everyone. Relapse is real. This is a disease. And people don't typically understand that this truly is a disease.
It's true, advocating and built-in support system. You've got friend group.
Yep.
Yeah, your culture. You've got buds. You're either playing pickup basketball or sitting in chairs, drinking shitty coffee, whatever it might be.
Absolutely. Built-in friend group. There's a lot of benefits to someone who doesn't drink as a partner. And I would just love to throw that out there because I do think the stigma is, oh, he's an alcoholic. Avoid, 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 avoid. If that person's an active person in their recovery, I think that as long as they've got a lot of sober time and really, that could be a true jackpot situation for you. I'm just saying.
Yeah, not a deterrent.
And so I would hope that stigma kind of dies down a little bit as not drinking becomes a little bit more trendy.
Because imagine too, the likelihood now is so much different than 10 years ago of the other person on the opposite side of the table going, yeah, me too. Samesies, or I actually don't drink during the week. And that's kind of the intermittent sobriety. Or there was, it's sober October, no drink November was like a big thing. And I've
seen a lot of social media posts about people talking about the benefits. And I love that that's kind of working against the stigma that we want to talk about is there's a lot of people who are like, wow, I did 30 days without alcohol. And these are all the things that happened in my life that were positive. These are all the things that happened that were negative. And those lists, the positive is like tenfold to the negative.
Once you hit, there's so much positive on like that first fog-free morning. When you think, is it worth it tonight I have my mornings back? Which, I don't know. I have a feeling I'm like many where you'd be like, ooh, who did I say that to? Or who do I probably owe an apology? And not having that, like waking up and being like, do I want coffee or smoothie?
Do you know what I don't miss? Looking at my phone, checking my text messages and calls to see who I communicated with when I was blacked out. Oh my gosh.
And you get on the repeater loop. I was guilty of that. We don't have to go through the shame spiral, but we're talking about pumping up for parties. I think there's just so much hope and like the big picture, remembering your why of if you choose to not do that, to not imbibe, you're doing that for a reason. And I think that for me, being able to see my family and I'm like, everything would just go to garbage and gray. The vivid colors, and I mean, so those feelings come in good, bad, and otherwise pretty real, but
they call that early sobriety the pink cloud. I'm not really sure where that comes from. It's kind of dirty sounding in my opinion. But it is a wonderful feeling that you can't ignore, and that's why it's been named. Is like well,
like runner's high. I could see why pink
similar.
Cloud buzz. Where if you do intermittent sobriety, you're like, ooh,
you get this pink cloud feeling, and the first thing that happens is you sleep like a little baby, and you wake up and you feel amazing, and you're like, wow, this is what I could feel like all the time, and you get to ride that high, and it does sort of fade over time. I'm not going to lie to anyone. But that feeling is amazing. And I'm so glad people are doing this intermittent sobriety sort of thing because they get to feel that. It is like a runner's high. It's a good example.
I think we're very lucky that we have this built-in in-house support / accountability system. And we most often talk about not drinking exactly like this.
Right.
And it comes up all the time. But not every household dynamic is that consistent. And I want my Christmas wish would be for like patience and understanding and support if you have somebody, roommate, partner, otherwise, that is like to do your best, but it is struggling. The struggle not to like you don't want somebody hiding what their life from you.
Exactly.
But
There's a misconception of someone who is an alcoholic or chooses a sober lifestyle. There is a misconception on what that looks like for your partner. We have an amazing dynamic that isn't what everyone
Not
experiences,
common.
and it's not common, and we do understand that. I want you to know that if you're in a relationship with someone who's struggling with alcohol, it is not a death sentence for your life and how you choose to live. And there's a lot of people that think, oh, if my husband is struggling with alcohol and he's going to give up alcohol, I need to do that too. Ideally, yeah, that would be awesome. But
But
that's a
hopefully
huge
you
ask.
can work out a situation in which you do have girlfriend nights or family, or you have other, if that's important. Hopefully you can set up a framework and a system that nobody is at risk and everybody feels that they're living and not just a permanent sacrifice.
If you communicate, it's all doable. Really, what it means is you're not going to have alcohol at home. And I think that that's something that we should all feel comfortable with, but it doesn't mean you can't get together with your girlfriends and have a wine night. It doesn't, like, he can come pick you up. How awesome is that? I would
I
really
hope those
love
partnerships, can be
work on those
supported and
partnerships. It's not a death sentence, and offer your support. That's how it's going to go the best. You know what I mean? Is if you can be supportive of that individual, and really you can work out your own bearings on how to be that supportive person. But just remember, like, it doesn't mean that you can never have a drink again because you're with someone who doesn't drink. It just means you shouldn't be drinking around them.
right. And
Or maybe they're
imagine
comfortable with it, but I don't know.
the
Alcohol now is
opportunity,
scary.
like what an amazing love moment opportunity if you could come up with something that would be a new addition to that relationship, an activity that doesn't involve drinking, that would be not, I'm going to now figure out a way that you have taken away this thing you enjoyed. I'm going to go find that fun elsewhere. But if you're like, hey, let's go, I don't know, from art exhibits to beach things. Do I have any notes? Amusement parks are even like a fun idea. To have something goofy or silly or just togetherness that is not alcohol related.
Right.
That's just kind of your new thing.
Outdoor
that could be a
activities.
really awesome investment in
Outdoor activities are huge. Hiking. We got into stand-up paddleboarding. That was something that we
I was
did.
gonna say like stand-up comedy. I'm like watching it.
I don't know about you, but in sobriety, I've done more snowboarding than I ever did. Isn't that crazy? Like,
Yeah, because you would just usually do I put on all the gear and then you do that one run to the bar.
yep, that's exactly how I used to do it. And some of that was because I couldn't keep up with my buddies. But at the same time, I can also go and have my fun while you guys are having your fun.
This could be a very different conversation where we could be like looking in on year 3 and being like, screw this. The rest of my life is just a black hole of boring bullshit. And I don't feel any of that. And I feel very lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to go back to something that you said because I think it's important. You talked about your why. And we're gearing this to sort of everyone. If you're not an alcoholic, I hope that you can get something from this because this is a disease that affects so many different people. But I don't exactly agree with the why part. For most alcoholics, and I'm speaking in general terms, but a lot of times the why isn't the answer. Alcoholics tend to use alcohol as their solution. I have anxiety. This isn't going well, so I'm going to drink so I can numb this feeling. And for most of us, it's the solution as opposed to it's not why I'm drinking. You're hiding. You're trying not to feel the things in your life. And most of the time, alcohol is our solution. And there are so many other ones. And so just to put sort of a message out to people who might be struggling with alcohol or wondering, am I an alcoholic? Here's just a punchline for you is, are you using alcohol as your solution to get over things? That's a sign that maybe you're...
It's such a personal journey.
It is such a personal journey and it's
because
different for everyone, but...
Exactly. It's how you have a line on how it affects you. Because like it does 2 drinks for one person, 200
Exactly.
for another.
I think it's important for everyone to realize that it doesn't matter how much or how often you're drinking. It's about how it affects you. What do you do? Are you drinking to avoid something? Are you drinking and blacking out and behaving poorly? Like, how does the alcohol affect you? That's how you can really sort of figure out if you have a problem.
If that's something you want to do. And I'm just saying, hey,
Yeah.
if you're trying to take a night off and it happens to be the night of the party.
Right. We're talking to our drinking friends. There's no shame on those who drink. I want to hang out with you and see
Please
your
invite us
fun.
to your party.
I want to see your
But
fun.
you bring up a good note there on the why, because yeah, I could think of a million reasons. And for me, it was actually, even though I made the point, my win, because I knew it needed to happen and would be a part of my life. We find it kind of funny in this house that I had the word sober as part of my daily mantra for a full decade. So I read, like Ruby Warrington, Sober Curious. I mentioned I hadn't read, but Caroline Knapp wrote Drinking and We Are the Luckiest by Laura McCowan. And
Fantastic, too.
yeah, I have
They're
all
awesome.
Quit Like a Woman. That's Holly Whitaker. Like these, I was obsessed, not a word I use lightly, with these powerful female memoir, survival, healing, hardship, getting through it, just truth telling time.
Yes.
Yes, my manifesto, and I love them. And so that was like recreational reading. And so for me, it was compulsive habit, drinkers, successful alcoholics on both sides. And I knew the time had to come. And so when your bravery of getting on the airplane, I knew it has to be a personal choice. So it wasn't related to that, but that was my competitive nature. I was like, holy shit. Well, and so I did a very different, wean situation at home. But my win was, if not now, and I made the commitment to not look back. So
Nice.
You're right. Maybe it wasn't a why.
Well,
A piff.
You said something in there that I think is really powerful. Going back to not just your why and your when, but also it's so hard to do this alone.
You can't.
You
and I really,
can't.
even though I said I did an at-home dog and cat present emotional support, it was awful. We'll save that combo for another time. But it is true. There is so much power in whomever, and
You need
how
to
do
have
you find that?
you need to have the one person that you can be completely honest with, and even if it's just one person, that's a step in the right direction. And just keep that in mind that this is not something that you can hide and conceal. You got to have a little bit of support. I encourage everyone to be as honest as they can. But if you can only be honest with one person, that's a step in the right direction. Just know that if you try to keep this all inside and do it on your own, the likelihood of you achieving your goal of sobriety is pretty low.
Oh, and the
so-
unexpected love that, like, the taking that step sucks, scary, all of that. Because I thought, again, like, I won't be funny anymore. I will have no friends. My career is a joke, all of it. And it is an outpouring of love and people. I mean, from the majority. My personal experience was so much, oh man, I want to get on the bandwagon. I get so much questions, regarding
What's the question you get the most since you've been sober from people who are,
do you miss it? I guess,
do
kind
you miss
of.
it? How do you answer that?
No, I don't miss it. I think because, again, it makes me, for some reason, I don't know if my beautiful mind is just like training itself, but it thought of having a drink makes me feel tired immediately.
Yeah.
And I feel like I missed so much because, like, looking back from pictures, if a phone reminders, like, remember this memory, and I'm like, not so much. Looks like someone else was in my skin, and that is horrifying.
It's a terrible feeling.
And so, yeah, it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a pretty good policy of BYOB, TYOS. Bring your own, but take your own shit home. And so that can be nice too if you are comfortable where our events don't. For example, Thanksgiving, we had yummy cranberry and lemony infused mixers, and we were set to jet. And then if somebody wanted to have a little glass of wine or tequila, great.
Welcome
Take
to
it
it.
home.
I mean, how many liquor stores do we go into in a week? Like we got.
It is a little embarrassing, but we both were.
We love our NAs. We love to make our mocktails at home, and that satisfies us. But at the same time, we will buy alcohol for our guests with the caveat that you better bring it home with you. Like, this is not something that lives at our house. This is for the event, and it
haven't
goes
really
with you.
purchased that much. Oh, out of town. If somebody has flown in. But I'm like, you're driving to my house.
What are you talking about? We do that for Steve-O all the time.
That's true.
And it
Spoiled rotten, you hear that,
it makes me zero uncomfortable.
We do,
It makes me happy that we can do that for him.
because we don't like what he likes back in the days. I'm teasing. But it is true that we don't have sleepovers with any booze in the house. Because that was, like I said, it was a compulsive habit was how I described my drinking. That my story was just, I am not wired for the just one. Like, oh, we'll have this one bottle. Like, I am an any means all.
Yep.
I know that about some people probably experience that with cake. We all know on this podcast, I'm a pie person. But I could imagine I would be, if I loved cake the way I treated my love affair with alcohol, I would be middle of the night, floor of the kitchen, hands in the pan. Your stomach just growled because I talked about cake. I could have shared this drink with you, but we should probably wrap it up.
Yes, we should. Shout out with my tummy growl and you're talking about cake. Thank you to all the East Coasters for your Smith Island cake. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's a 12-layer chocolate cake. It's unbelievable.
Thank you, Smith Island. We were on the receiving end, and now we are big givers as well of that cake.
Well, to close this out, I just want to say, those of you that drink, please do it responsibly. Don't get behind the wheel of a car. It's a really serious thing. And remember that this is a disease. This is something that affects so many people. And just keep in mind the severity of it and be respectful. I guess the takeaway I'd really hope people realize is there are so many stigmas around them, but they don't have to be there. We can talk openly and invite those people. Ask the alcoholic what makes them uncomfortable. And then everyone can have a great time. You know what I mean?
Clear the air.
Absolutely.
I like it. Good advice. But good luck out there. It's your personal journey. And again, for the intermittent sobriety, good for you.
Right.
Bank account, waistline.
Oh, we didn't even talk about
mornings.
That. How much weight have we lost?
Well, we eat not great. I feel like, but it's true that we did have.
It's like 150 pounds between us.
It's over 160.
And do we exercise regularly? No, we do not.
I rarely stop moving a lot, but it's true. We do not hit the gym at all.
Well, that's not true. We work out, but not.
Yeah. I haul wood for the fire. That is true. You chop, absolutely. I haul. That sounds like it's some sort of innuendo, and it's not. But be brave, beautiful friends. Thank you for being here with us.
What a wonderful conversation. I'm JT.
And I'm Jordan. Until next time.